At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business trainer, author of Food Truck 101, Beginner to Winner, and the forthcoming book, Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. One of the listeners of this podcast suggested that I do an episode on back office paperwork. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I know everyone hates paperwork. Well, not exactly everyone. I happen to love doing paperwork. This is the report card on how the business is doing. And I want to know exactly where my business stands against the most important KPIs I have for my business. And if you don't remember the KPIs and what that stands for, it stands for Key Performance Indicators. Last September, I talked about those KPIs. So if you need a refresher, go back to the podcast that's in the middle of September. And I talk about the KPIs and what they mean. Today, I'm going to explain how you fit those KPIs into your daily and weekly routine. Now, what I'm getting ready to list off is not in any particular order, but it's all information that you need to do on a weekly and or daily basis. So let's start with the weekly stuff. Each of these things that I'm going to list help you to become successful, and they also help to maximize profits. They're not just little pieces of paper that you're going to fill out and go, yep, work's done. They're numbers that have meaning to your business and help you either prove that you're awesome or show what areas you need to work on to become awesome. You're going to take an inventory of all your food and all your paper that's left over from the previous week. You're going to do that before you start the new coming week. You want to create a sales projection for the coming week. And you're asking, why do I need to know that? You need to know how much money you believe you're going to do in sales, so that gives you a budget for the coming week for all the different things that are on your P&L statement. But most importantly, it tells you how much food you're going to need to buy. So if you believe that you're going to do $10,000 in sales this coming week and you want to run a 25% food cost, that means you should have no more than $2,500 wrapped up in inventory. Part of that inventory is what you had left over from last week. So when you subtract whatever was left over from last week from that $2,500 food cost goal, that remaining number tells you what you can spend in food. As long as you hit your $10,000 in sales and you don't use more food out of the leftover food from last week, you'll hit your food cost goal. You need to price shop. Price shop at least weekly, if not every time you go out to buy something for your business. And then, of course, you're going to be purchasing stuff. You'll either purchase once a week or it could be every single day that you're open. But you have to price shop. And then part of your daily activities is gathering up all that food. You need to do an end of the week inventory. What this does is it allows you to compare the inventory you had at start of the week, all of the purchases that you bought, and then what you had left over. And that gives you a comparison to start looking at your theoretical food cost compared to your actual food cost. Theoretical food cost is you taking your sales mix reading, and it may say you sold 100 hamburgers, and then you take that 100 hamburgers times whatever your paperwork says a hamburger should cost you. And that's on one of the spreadsheets that we do. And then you would compare that number to what you actually did use in food. Because it doesn't matter what your recipes say. What matters is what you turn out every single time you hand a bag of food out the window. Does it match what your recipes say? If it doesn't, you're losing money. You're going to do a full profit and loss statement every single week, every category that's on it. You want to know at the end of the week, am I making money? Am I not making money? You want to create an ops summary. An ops summary has all the different numerical values that are important to your business, and it makes you sit down and think about them. And then if they're not hitting where you budgeted them to be, you're going to make an action plan to make sure that you're going to get out of the business all the profits you possibly can. So an ops summary is going to have things like comparing this week's sales to last week's sales, this week's sales to this same week last year, and the month-to-date sales to last month-to-date sales. You want to compare all of those different categories in sales so that you can see trends. And you kind of have an idea of how much you're going to be projecting next week. If you can see trends of increasing 3% over several weeks, then probably when you do your budget for next week, your sales projection for next week, you're going to add 3% more onto that. But if you look at your sales trend from last year and it says, nope, that particular week we fall down, then you know not to add on to that projection. You have an idea of where the projection should be. And you can't just guess. You have to have information based on this week, this month, last month, and last year. You want to have on your operation summary what your food cost is, and you're going to compare that food cost in 3 different ways. One is comparing what you actually did, what you actually handed out the window, to what your theoretical, and again, theoretical is based on your recipes. So you're going to have those 2 numbers, and then you're going to have one more number. This help kind of brings those in line. This number is called food cost with give, or food cost with giveaways. And what this accounts for is things that you give away. You're going to replace somebody's meal. You gave that meal away. You're running a special where they come in at a certain time and get $1 off or $5 off. It accounts for your loyalty program. Now, this doesn't put money in the bank, but what it does is it helps you to understand if you're coming as close as you possibly can to your theoretical food cost, your recipes that you wrote before you ever start the business. That's what Food Cost with Give helps explain to you. You want to track your labor. So you're going to have your labor costs as a percentage of your sales, but you're also going to track your sales per man hour. Sales per man hour shows productivity. You need to understand that if your staff is standing around and the sales per man hour is really kind of low, you might be able to send somebody home early or cut one person off your schedule. But unless you're tracking that information, you don't really know. You want to have a listing for your repair and maintenance, and that's expenditures that you have actually made to fix something on the trailer, fix equipment, do any kind of maintenance work that's preparing in nature, such as buying oil to oil different pieces of machinery that you cook with, or greasing the axles and wheels of your trailer, those kind of things. But you also want to have a list of needed repairs and needed maintenance that's coming up, so you can have an idea of where you're going to put those in on your budget. Say that you have a slight leak in the roof. You need to plan, when am I going to get that repaired? You may have a couple of lights out somewhere. When am I going to have the money to get those repaired? You want to be thinking about those things and have an ongoing maintenance list and an ongoing repair list. You want to have a section on your op summary that talks about cleaning supplies and office supplies. Both of those are things you need to budget. You need to have a marketing budget and comparing what you planned on spending to what you did spend. And then you want to document your activities to help you remember this time next year. That's what the operation summary does. It helps you to remember things. The more notes that you take, the better off you're going to be, and the better your business will grow, because you have notes to refer back and go, oh yeah, that was spring break and we had Alabama down that particular week. If you work in Florida, especially along the Panhandle coast, and that's the Alabama Education Association, they all go on spring break pretty much at the same time, and the whole state comes to the Panhandle. So we have one week where we are super busy. But if we didn't document that, we would be guessing, why do we have that big spike in sales? Verify your speed of service. That's SOS. Verify your SOS through whatever method you have available to you. And if you have no method of tracking your speed of service, what you can do is look on your Square report, if you use Square or any other POS system, and see how many products you're putting through per hour. That gives you an idea on how to schedule too. But you got to try to verify something to show that you are improving, that you're getting faster, that you're getting better. You want to have a section on here where it talks about any reviews that you got, both positive and negative, and then action that was taken to fix the negative reviews, as well as any comments that you had on social media, things that really stuck out to you that you're really proud of, or hey, we need to work on these things. So now you have a record that you can refer to next year, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, to let you know what has happened in your business. And then to make all of this worthwhile, you've got to have an action plan to correct things that aren't where they are supposed to be. And then after you've done the operation summary, at some point during the week, you need to be thinking about and looking at the progress you have been making on your business's goals. You should have business goals, and they should be laid out where you want to be, where you want to be going. And sometime during the week, that needs to be on your to-do list. Verify the progress. Act on the goals. What am I doing to move those goals forward and my business forward? Now, all of that's just on a weekly basis. Now let's talk about daily basis. Every day you should be setting up a prep list that's based on that particular day's sales projection. And then also it compares what was left over and what could be carried over into the new day so you're not over prepping. You don't just blatantly come in and say, I'm doing 5 pounds of onions every single day if you don't need to. You could have 3 pounds you use on Monday, and that's consistent. So on Mondays, you only prep 3 pounds, but on Friday, you need to prep 8 pounds. And if you can show that consistency over time, you know what to prep. But don't just say, oh, it's in my head, I know what I'm doing. Because you don't. I have thought that when I first 20 years or so thought I could keep everything in my head. Well, you can't. Once I figured out that I'm not near as smart as I thought I was and started listening to people that were farther ahead in the business than I was, I actually started making progress towards getting to be really good. One of the things I learned was stop thinking you can do it all in your head, because you can't. Write down stuff. Do sales projections. Base your prep charts on what you really need and what you're really doing. Every single day you're going to check your social media. You're going to be looking for reviews, you're going to be looking for comments, and you're going to respond to them all. At some point, and I actually should have listed this one on the weekly, at some point in the weekly one, you should be pre-planning your social media. And what I mean by that, on the pre-planned social media, that's things that you know you're going to be somewhere, say like on Friday, you're going to be at the brewery. So you have set up ads to run all through the week that say, hey, come Friday night, be at the brewery. We're going to be there from 7 to midnight or whatever time you're going to be there. The idea is those things that you know for sure you're going to be doing, pre-plan them so they schedule those posts and they go out automatically and you don't have anything to worry about getting done. So that's on the weekly thing. As far as the daily social media, again, reviews and comments, react to them. Do it at least once a day. Best practice is to do it twice a day. Once before you open, once after you close. Then throughout the day, if you find that your sales are waning and not going where you projected them to be, you're going to do what I call on-demand social media. That's where you do something live. You kick out a real quick video. Hey, dudes. We're down here at 5th and Main. Please come down and check us out. We've got a hamburger with your name on it. You're going to do something to remind people where you are and that you sell food. So it's on-demand social media. You do that when you are slower than you expect. And you may have to do that 2 or 3 times, but you got to do something. You can't just sit there looking out the window going, where's all my customers? That doesn't help. You're going to do a daily inventory. You're going to do that at closing. You're going to run to the bank at some point. You're going to make sure you're depositing the money in the different accounts that we've talked about before. At the bare minimum, you need 2 accounts. One is for your sales tax, so you never ever touch that money. And then one is for everything else. The sales tax money, again, is not yours. You collect it. So I fund that particular account every single day with cash. Whatever I collected the day before, it goes in that account. And then anything else that's coming into me, like the credit card sales, then I use that to pay for my upcoming expenses. But you have got to have at least 2 accounts. You can have more. You can have a payroll account and a general fund account. You can have sales tax. You can have your profit. You can do all different kind of accounts, but the bare minimum is 2. So get those set up and start handling that, because missing your sales tax is no joke. They will come after you. Every day you're going to do some type of shopping. Every day you want to post any receipts that are coming in that contain food or paper or any other supplies to your inventory sheets, and then you want to update those prices. When you update those prices, you're going to check your theoretical food costs on the spreadsheet that I've given you guys so that you can see what your food cost is. If you don't check your food cost, you're going to be in serious trouble. That's why every week or so everybody's going, have y'all raised your prices yet because the meat's gone up so much? The answer should be yes. We raised it the very first time that meat went up to the point where it got our food cost percentage out of line. And if you have to raise prices every week, then you raise prices every week. You do what it takes to stay in business. You don't wait and go, it's going to get better and I'll just eat the cost right now, because you're going to end up costing yourself out of business. Every single day you're going to do a HACCP plan or your SOP plan that includes temperatures and checklists and things to make sure that you're being food safe and food ready. You're going to track your labor every single day. You're going to run sales per man hour every single day. I got to the point where I was running labor every single hour. If we weren't busy enough, people were going home. I did not wait to the end of the week and go, oh, I've spent a lot of money in labor. Handle it in real time. Every single day, you're going to balance your cash drawers. You're going to make sure that the cash that's supposed to be there is there. Those are just some of the things that you need to do. But every one of those things you guys are thinking right now, man, that's a lot of work. Yeah, you're right, it is. So when do you have time to slice tomatoes and cut onions and cook all the meat that you're cooking? Those are jobs for your employees. You're the owner of a food truck. You are the person that drives the business forward. You can't drive the business forward if you're cutting tomatoes and cooking onions and you're cooking meat on the flat top. Those are tasks that do not move your business forward. All they do is serve whoever's in front of you in that moment. I want to teach you guys how to get off the food truck so you actually own a business. Because right now, most of you guys don't really own a business. You just created your own job. And there is a distinction there. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We got a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from just starting newbies to decades-old veterans. They all have your back when it comes to you and your food truck. Again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow. I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business.